Welcome back. Youth unemployment is a growing concern, and at least part of the worry is how tech like AI might replace young workers. But is there also some built-in prejudice at play? Jennifer Moss is a workplace expert and the author of several books. Thanks for being with us, Jennifer.
Yeah, good to be here.
So historically, there's always been in some places and times a little bit of a you don't have the experience kind of conundrum for young workers. And the only way to get it, of course, is someone to overlook that. Is there at the moment a bit of built-in prejudice on the part of the generations ahead of young workers that are still entrenched in the workplace?
Yeah, we're seeing this increase in what researchers have called youngism and have been studying it for a while. But, you know, it's always been there. We always look at the generations that are coming up and wondering why they're behaving that way. We have this bias that we were young once, so we understand. And yet right now in 2024, we're finding that from research that people in their 20s were rated less favorably by about 10 times than any other cohort. So there is a real bias towards young people, and that's showing up in postings and the reduction in job postings for young people, and a lot of ageism and how we're looking for new talent to come into our organizations.
Which is so interesting because, of course, we look back. I'm old enough to know that there's a time when we thought the millennials were this kind of lazy, entitled group. Now the millennials are the hardworking, solid center of most businesses. Do we just need to give young people time and they adjust to everything, or we adjust to them, however you want to look at it?
That's absolutely it. I mean, we always have had this bias, but now it's actually showing up in, you know, we're seeing less opportunities for people to move into these entry-level roles, which is already competitive with AI. We're seeing things like adding in experience, 3 to 4 years experience in those entry-level jobs that we didn't see before. We're not seeing a translation from people doing internships that's actually moving into roles. And there's a disconnect that's causing us this inability to develop this talent. They're going to be 30% of our workforce by 2035. And if we don't develop them, then we're going to have a real issue with our pipeline by then.
And is there some coaching that can be done? I mean, I do think, even though some of this might be just stereotypes, this does include some of a cohort that had to go through a pandemic, that had a real kind of interruption in sort of what their normal experience might have been with summer jobs and the like. Is there something that we could do to help actually leapfrog over that and get them into the workplace in a better way?
We do. We need to have some openness, because we also have to look at it as a business strategy. You know, it isn't a benevolent strategy that we're helping young people. That's great to have human-centered leadership, but we need to look at this as strategy and bringing these young people into our organizations and understanding that they've come from a different type of upbringing. I mean, you look at young people, I mean, I'm an Xer, and the way that we raised our kids was to ask for their opinion, and there was always a give and take. There wasn't that, you know, expectation of looking to your elders as having sort of that omnipotent answer for everything, right? And that's changed. So we have to look at this new workforce as being raised in that way. So they're going to have different expectations of deference. They also didn't have any networking, education, or training. They haven't learned to manage up. That's our job to do that, is to train young people so that they can become those hardworking millennials and then Xers and then eventually boomers that you know are those leaders in our organization right now.
Jennifer, so good to have you for this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Jennifer Moss is a workplace expert and author. Time for the takeaway, and doing the same thing but expecting different results. It's hardly news that Canada has a severe housing shortage. The math has been right in front of us for years. Based on population growth and new household formation, we need to double the rate of annual building to as many as 480,000 units a year, every year for the next decade. We're nowhere near those numbers. In fact, starts are running at around half that level. So what gives? Regulations are often blamed as the chief culprit. It's too hard to get a project approved, and that makes it hard to get it financed. And for sure, there is something to that argument. But if that were the only issue, surely removing pesky regulations is one thing governments could easily do. Instead, they're collectively spending billions to try to encourage more building, but without much effect. A recent report put the slowdown in construction in another stark light. Tens of thousands of good construction jobs will be lost if we can't find a way to pick up the pace on building. So why can't we seem to solve a problem that matters to so many? Part of the answer might lie in how the sector itself operates. Housing construction in Canada is still dominated by smaller players with as few as 5 employees. That lends itself to lower productivity and weaker efficiency. That's not a knock on the home builders. It's just the nature of a smaller business. More consolidation among the companies that do the building might actually help get more built faster. It might also encourage investment in new techniques and technology that would speed up per-unit construction. While the government is making big investments in efforts to get more homes built, how much of that will be spent on how homes are built and measures to try to improve that? Tax credits or even grants from market players willing to make investments or buy another firm might help spur much-needed combinations of builders. My takeaway? Hoping for a different outcome without changing your behavior is never a good strategy. When it comes to housing in Canada, let's agree that what we've been doing isn't working. That's Taking Stock for this week. I'm Amanda Lang. Thanks for being with us.